Episode 8 of Macbeth by William Shakespeare, performed by members of Suitcase Theatre Company in Abergavenny, Wales. This episode is entitled Cruel Are the Times. Ross visits Lady Macduff, who is alone in her castle with her children. Soon after he leaves, she and her children are killed by murderers sent by Macbeth. In England, Macduff consults with Malcolm, who at first pretends to be a worse individual than Macbeth. Ross arrives and informs Macduff that his wife and children have been slaughtered on the orders of Macbeth.
What had he done to make him fly the land?
You must have patience, madam.
He had none. His flight was madness. When our actions do not, our fears do make us traitors.
You know not whether it was his wisdom or his fear.
Wisdom? To leave his wife, to leave his babes, his mansion and his titles, in a place from whence himself does fly. He loves us not. He wants the natural touch. For the poor wren, the most diminutive of birds, will fight, her young ones in her nest, against the owl. All is the fear, and nothing is the love. As little is the wisdom, where the flight so runs against all reason.
My dearest coz, I pray you, school yourself. But for your husband, he is noble, wise, judicious, and best knows the fits or the season. I dare not speak much further, but cruel are the times when we are traitors and do not know ourselves. When we hold rumour from what we fear, yet know not what we fear, but float upon a wild and violent sea, each way and move. I take my leave of you. Shall not be long, but I'll be here again. Things at the worst will cease, or else climb upward to what they were before. My pretty cousin, blessing upon you.
That he is, and yet he's fatherless.
I am so much a fool. Should I stay longer, it would be my disgrace and your discomfort. I take my leave at once.
Sirrah, your father's dead. And what will you do now? How will you live?
As birds do, mother.
What, with worms and flies?
With what I get, I mean, and so do they.
Poor bird, thou'dst never fear the net nor lime, the pitfall nor the gin.
Why should I, mother? Poor birds they are not set for. My father is not dead, for all your saying.
Yes, he is dead. How wilt thou do for a father?
Nay, how will you do for a husband?
Why, I can buy me 20 at any market.
Then you'll buy him to sell again.
Thou speakest with all thy wit, and yet, a faith, with wit enough for thee.
Was my father a traitor, mother?
Ay, that he was.
What is a traitor?
Why, one that swears and lies.
And be all traitors that do so?
Every one that does so is a traitor, and must be hanged.
And must they all be hanged that swear and lie?
Every one.
Who must hang them?
Why, the honest men.
Then the liars and swearers are fools, for there are liars and swearers enow to beat the honest men and hang up them.
Now God help thee, poor monkey. But how wilt thou do for a father?
If he were dead, you'd weep for him. If you would not, it were a good sign that I should quickly have a new father.
Poor prattler, how thou talk'st.
Bless you, fair dame. I am not to you known, though in your state of honour I am perfect. I doubt some danger does approach you nearly. If you will take a homely man's advice, be not found here. Hence with your little ones. To fright you thus, methinks I am too savage. To do worse to you were fell cruelty, which is too nigh your person. Heaven preserve you. I dare abide no longer.
Whither should I fly? I have done no harm. But I remember now I am in this earthly world, where to do harm is often laudable, to do good sometime accounted dangerous folly. Why then, alas, do I put up that womanly defence, to say I have done no harm? What are these faces?
Where is your husband?
I hope in no place so unsanctified where such as thou mayst find him.
He's a traitor.
Thou liest, thou shag-haired villain!
What, you egg? Young Freya treachery?
He has killed me, mother. Run away, I pray you.
Let us seek out some desolate shade, and there weep our sad bosoms empty.
Let us rather hold fast the mortal sword, and like good men bestride our downfallen birthdom. Each new morn, new widows howl, new orphans cry, new sorrows strike heaven on the face, that it resounds as if it felt with Scotland, and yelled out like syllable of dolour.
What I believe, I'll wail. What know, believe. And what I can redress, as I shall find the time to, friend, I will. What you have spoke, it may be so, perchance. This tyrant, whose sole name blisters our tongues, was once thought honest. You have loved him well. He hath not touched you yet.
I am not treacherous.
But Macbeth is. A good and virtuous nature may recoil in an imperial charge.
Oh, I have lost my hopes.
Perchance even there where I did find my doubts. Why in that rawness left you wife and child, those precious motives, those strong knots of love, without leave-taking? I pray you, let not my jealousies be your dishonours, but mine own safeties. You may be rightly just, whatever I shall think.
Bleed, bleed, poor country. Great tyranny, lay thou thy basest shore, for goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, the title is afeard. Very well, lord. I would not be the villain that thou think'st, for the whole space that's in the tyrant's grasp, and the rich east to boot.
Be not offended. I speak not as in absolute fear of you. I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. It weeps. It bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. I think withal there would be hands uplifted in my right, and here from gracious England have I offer of goodly thousands. But for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head, or wear it on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffer, and more sundry ways than ever, by him that shall succeed.
What should he be?
It is myself, I mean, in whom I know all the particulars of vice so grafted, that when they shall be opened, black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb, being compared with my confineless harms.
Not in the legions of horrid hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth.
I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, smacking of every sin that has a name. But there's no bottom, none, in my voluptuousness. Your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids could not fill up the cistern of my lust. Better Macbeth than such an one to reign.
Boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. But fear not yet. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you to devour so many as will to greatness dedicate themselves, finding it so inclined.
With this, there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a stanchless avarice, that, were I king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands, desire his jewels and this other's house, and my more having would be as a source to make me hunger more, that I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and the loyal, destroying them for wealth.
This avarice sticks deeper, grows with more pernicious root than summer seeming lust. Yet Do not fear. Scotland hath foisons to fill up your will of your mere own. All these are portable, with other graces weighed.
But I have none. The king becoming graces as justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, perseverance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it many ways. Nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth.
Oh, Scotland, Scotland.
If such a one be fit to govern, speak. I am as I have spoken.
Fit to govern? No, not to live. Oh, nation miserable, with an untitled tyrant, bloody sceptred, when shalt thou see thy wholesome days again, since that the truest issue of thy throne, by his own interdiction, stands accused, and does blaspheme his breed? Fare thee well. These evils thou repeat'st upon thyself hath banished me from Scotland. Oh, my breast, thy hope ends here.
Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath from my soul wiped the black scruples, reconciled my thoughts to thy good truth and honour. Devilish Macbeth by many of these trains hath sought to win me into his power, and modest wisdom plucks me from overcredulous haste. But God above deal between thee and me. For even now I put myself to thy direction, and unspeak mine own detraction. Here, abjure the taints and blames I laid upon myself, for strangers to my nature. What I am truly is thine, and my poor country's to command. Whither indeed, before thy here approach, old Seward with 10,000 warlike men already at a point was setting forth. Now will together, and the chance of goodness be like our warranted quarrel. Why are you silent?
Such welcome and unwelcome things at once, 'tis hard to reconcile.
Well, more anon. Comes the king forth, I pray you?
Ay, sir, there are a crew of wretched souls that stay his cure. Their malady convinces the great assay of art, but at his touch, such sanctity hath heaven given his hand, they presently amend.
I thank you, doctor.
What's the disease he means?
'Tis called the evil. A most miraculous work in this good king, which often since my here remain in England I have seen him do. How he solicits heaven himself best knows, but strangely visited people, all swollen and ulcerous, pitiful to the eye, the mere despair of surgery he cures.
See who comes here. My ever-gentle cousin, welcome hither. Stands Scotland where it did?
Alas, poor country, almost afraid to know itself. It cannot be called our mother, but our grave.
How does my wife?
Why, well.
And all my children?
Well too.
The tyrant hath not battered at their peace?
No. They were well at peace when I did leave them.
Be not a niggard of your speech. How goes it?
When I came hither to transport the tidings, which I have heavily borne, there ran a rumour of many worthy fellows that were out, which was to my belief witnessed the rather, for that I saw the tyrant's power afoot. Now is the time of help. Your eye in Scotland would create soldiers. Make our women fight to doff their dire distresses.
Be it their comfort, we are coming thither. Gracious England hath lent us good Seward and 10,000 men. An older and a better soldier none that Christendom gives out.
Would I could answer this comfort with the like. But I have words that would be howled out in the desert air, where hearing should not latch them.
What concern they? The general cause? Or is it a fee grief due to some single breast?
No mind that's honest but in it shares some woe, though the main part pertains to you alone.
If it be mine, keep it not from me. Quickly, let me have it.
Let not your ears despise my tongue forever, which shall possess them with the heaviest sound that ever yet they heard.
Oh, I guess at it.
Your castle is surprised, your wife and babes savagely slaughtered. To relate the manner were, on the quarry of these murthered deer, to add the death of you.
Merciful heaven! What, man, ne'er pull your hat upon your brows. Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak whispers the ill-fraught heart and bids it break.
My children too?
Wife, children, servants, all that could be found.
And I must be from thence. My wife killed too?
I have said.
Be comforted. Let's make us medicines of our great revenge to cure this deadly grief.
He has no children. All my pretty ones? Did you say all? Oh, hell-kite, all! What, all my pretty chickens and their dam at one fell swoop?
Dispute it like a man.
I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man. I cannot but remember such things were that were most precious to me. Did heaven look on and would not take their part? Sinful Macduff! They were all struck for thee. Note that I am, not for their own demerits, but for mine fell slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now.
Be this the whetstone of your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart, enrage it.
Oh, I could play the woman with mine eyes and braggart with my tongue. But gentle heavens, cut short all intermission. Front to front, bring thou this fiend of Scotland and myself. Within my sword's length set him.
This tune goes manly. Come, go we to the king, our power is ready. Our lack is nothing but our leave. Macbeth is ripe for shaking, and the powers above put on their instruments. Receive what cheer you may. The night is long that never finds the day.
In this episode of William Shakespeare's Macbeth, Lady Macduff was played by Penelope Danielle, Ross by David Whitney, and Macduff's son by Cosmo Baller. Rob Jenkins was the messenger, and John Geraghty the first murderer. Joe Pugh played Malcolm, Dave Simcock played Macduff, and Cassidy Ferrari was the Doctor. The play was directed by William Gilbert.